Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And what a phenomenal day of Call of Duty we've had the pleasure to witness over these last several hours. So many phenomenal matches, crazy storylines coming out of these. FaZe versus Ultra was incredible, and Optic certainly surviving a scare in the losers bracket as they look to begin their losers bracket run. Intrigued to take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. These were the 4 games of the day, going to be going through the first 3 of them in this video. We'll talk about Subliners versus Mutineers tomorrow. Let's dive into things with Rokkr versus the Royal Ravens. Lots to say here about both of these teams, to be honest, especially really on the Minnesota Rokkr side, given the fact that when they first brought Standy into this team, they were dominant, they were beating everyone, not exactly dominant, but, you know, they got a great victory against Optic, they got a great victory against Dallas, they looked like they were going to be one of the top teams. Have they really experienced one of the craziest honeymoon periods we have seen so far this season? Because now they look at, well, very average indeed. Game 1 was super back and forth, there was honestly some crazy plays out of the side of London to actually win this one. Like, Rokkr were early on, well, dominating it was Priestahh, and somehow Ravens win this despite getting outslayed by 12 kills. That is not the sign of incredibly fundamentally solid hardpoint from the side of the Minnesota Rokkr team, because when you get outslayed by 12 kills, you probably shouldn't be losing, or when you outslay by 12 kills, you really shouldn't be losing hardpoints, but somehow London bring it back. They win the game 1 in incredible fashion, and then we go into the rest of the series as well, where they actually get the job done in addition. I mean, Zed right here with this kind of ninja defuse on, I believe it was Raid Search and Destroy, as you can see, and yeah, this was the Paulex and Zaptier show, the 2 Westar guys come into this lineup, both of them put on an absolute clinic here in the Search and Destroy, and then we go into what ends up being the final map of the series. That was a Garrison Control, where, I mean, it looked like Minnesota Rokkr had a chance, but looking at the scoreboard on the whole of the series, like, at least in terms of how the map counts went, you've got to say, wow, Ravens absolutely kind of destroyed them right here, and especially this final map as well. Of course, the Rokkr weren't very happy about it, and well, yeah, Ravens just decimate them, to be honest. Another 3-0. Just a couple of days we were talking about how strong Ravens looked in terms of their respawn when they beat Seattle Surge right at the end of the stage. Then they beat Paris Legion yesterday in pretty similar fashion. Now they take another Minnesota Rokkr 3-0. Who's going to stop these guys right now? Next they play Los Angeles Thieves, and Thieves have not been looking great by any means. If there's any team that actually has a great chance of taking them down, it's probably the Ravens right now. And certainly this raises some very significant questions. Firstly, about the Minnesota Rokkr as a team. Do they need to consider some significant changes? But at the same time, what about the Ravens in terms of where they could be for their champs run, right? Because yes, they're not looking ideal right now in terms of where they're placed down there. I'm pretty sure they're second last to, well, of course, to the Seattle Surge, who are in last place in the league at the present time. But it was always about, okay, who's going to get the 8th spot? Is it going to be Florida? Florida look like, okay, they might run away with it at this point. But with Minnesota Rokkr looking very suspect indeed, could there actually be 2 spots up for grabs here? All it really takes is one phenomenal tournament from the likes of the Ravens, from one of these other teams down low, and they can make a crazy run. Like, if Ravens make this all the way to top 6, top 4, something like that, they get a lot of points on the board. That is really going to change how the standings look down there. And well, maybe we'll have to talk about Rokkr in more detail tomorrow, because they certainly aren't looking good, as Ravens very much are right now. They finished 9th through 10th, $0 earnings, 10 CDL points only for the guys on the Rokkr team. A pretty funny exchange as well in the interviews after the game, with Paulex saying, okay, they're going to basically destroy Thieves in 30 to 40 minutes, because Paulex and Venom, formerly of the Westar team as well, they are, well, going to be facing off against each other tomorrow, as Venom says, I hate Paul, or maybe he'll hate to even more if Ravens can get the upset victory tomorrow. Let's talk about the second series of the day. That was Optic Chicago versus Los Angeles Guerrillas, and this was, well, not convincing by any means for the Optic guys. They do get over line. It was very suspicious at times whether they were actually going to get the job done, but they do manage to get over line in the end. Some questionable plays certainly on the first couple of maps from both of these teams, but yeah, back in the day, you'd really think, okay, you know, a team like Los Angeles Guerrillas, the players at least on that lineup up against Optic, and Optic of old really would just decimate this team off pure gun skill, right? There wouldn't be any issues about teamwork and stuff like this, but teamwork is obviously very important in this game, as we're going to see in a few minutes time when we look at the Toronto Ultra team and how good they continue to look right now. And well, this I thought was also very interesting, given the fact that Ben the Sim said last night on the flank, he was like, okay, raid control, do you let it through if you're Optic, given that LAG are awful on every other control map apart from raid control? Does work out for Optic in the end, but still there always is some questions about the suspect vetoes coming out from the Optic guys every single series. We seem to talk about that to some degree, but it works out for them, so who can really blame them at the end of the day? This I thought was also interesting. They went for a listening during the game 1 on Garrison hardpoints. Form was like, okay, yeah, we're chilling, and Study kind of, well, said maybe that isn't exactly what he should be saying. I mean, I thought maybe it was the right thing to do to calm down his team, and get them in the right headspace to actually make this comeback rather than getting too frantic, but thought it was kind of an interesting discussion to have regardless. And game 1 does go the way of LAG. This is kind of, well, the Optic we've seen as of late. They lose 6 respawns, or 6 hardpoints actually, in a row over their last 4 games. That is not what we were expecting, to be honest, from this Optic team. That was the whole discussion, right? The fact that, yes, Optic, maybe they're search and destroy. This is really what we were saying at the start of the season, right? their Search and Destroy might not be so great, but at least in respawns, they're going to go 50-50 with all the top teams. As of late, it's been their respawns that have really struggled. They get bodied in game 1 again. I mean, 250 to 150 wasn't exactly getting bodied, but yeah, it wasn't exactly ideal against a team like LAG that, in theory, they're going to try and take you to a game 5 and win that final Search and Destroy. So losing respawns to them is not exactly what you want to be doing. But in the Search and Destroy, they do bounce back. I mean, this was honestly that the amount of these rounds that was so incredibly close that Optic almost threw away. I mean, early on here, Optic have a nice start. They go up 5-3 in this one, but then there was a couple of rounds where Optic were just making plays that, once again, they're on their own. They're not getting traded. Scump got a kill, especially I think it was the round tape people were talking about. Scump got a kill. They were in a good spot. He flies out for no reason. They can't trade him exactly, and well, they end up losing the round. Thankfully, the final round, all the gunfights go in Optic's favor, at least for the Optic guys. Unfortunate for LAG, but they kind of run into the blender right here. And finally, some trades on the Optic side, right? There were so many times this map where trades were not being had, certainly, and it was all on the individual plays. But well, it was the SMG players in Scump and Envoy especially that really came to play in the Search and Destroy in very impressive fashion. Then we go into a raid control, and this was a bit of the discussion. This is where LAG have actually been solid, and this round, or this game especially, was, again, there were some mistakes on either side, certainly. The Optic guys managed to get the job done here very nicely on offense, but their very next defense, and it looks like they should close it out. They're like 11-7 up. Dashy has one of his best maps he's had on this map in quite some time. We always used to talk about the fact that Dashy on raid control was an absolute force to be reckoned with, and this map he certainly was once again, despite the damage really coming out from the other guys on the team. But they lose a defense that maybe they shouldn't have lost. It was like 11-7 live count. They had some significant advantage, but they kind of throw it away and all get pieced. Then it goes to a round 5 that an Optic do manage to clutch in very important fashion for this series, because I think if they'd lost both of these respawns, it would have been tough for them to get overline in a game 4 and a game 5. But they do manage to clutch up. They win at this game 3, as I think they pretty much had to, and then they go into a Moscow hardpoint, which ends up being the final map of the series. Thought this is kind of crazy here. You look at the statistics. Damage is separated between these 3 guys in Optic by 16 points of damage, which is less than 1 bullet, right? Think about that. Over the course of an entire control, 3 of the players in Optic are separated by less than 1 bullet's worth of damage. So pretty incredible stuff. The teamwork maybe is, well, getting back to form for the Optic guys. That's certainly what they were talking about after the series. And as Optic say right here, 3-1, we go again tomorrow against Dallas, because they close out right to the end. This was a very back and forth affair, but finally it felt like Optic actually had some nice setups and rotations here. They were rotating early, and their setups weren't getting completely broken off the rip. They were breaking quite nicely. It didn't feel like they were taking too long to make it work, and some individual plays coming out once again from the Optic guys, as you would expect them to pull off in a series against a team like LAG. Scump especially at the end, well, put up some monster performances here, honestly, and it seemed like a lot of the times on this map, typically it's been Envoy taking all the routes that people always talk about. This time it was Scump making some nice flanks when he needed to, playing with Envoy at times when that was going to be the best play, and also making individual plays like this. Obviously gets a nice hip fire to help close out the game, but yeah, Scump goes massive at the end here, and Optic closes out 3-1, so surviving a scare, certainly. This was not convincing by any means, but Optic do get over line, and what this means is, as we talk about right here, they will be playing Dallas tomorrow for an advance to top 6, which means one of these 2 teams will fall out of the tournament top 8, which is obviously incredible scenes, and it was Envoy and Scump. We've really been talking about this SMG duo. Can they synergize well together? They do so right here very nicely indeed. Both drop a 1.10 KD, exactly what you want out of the Optic guys. Maybe this could be a nice confidence boost for them going into tomorrow, where they are certainly going to have a difficult game up against Dallas Empire, but maybe they can ride this momentum, and with their teamwork improving to some degree, they're certainly going to have to improve pretty significantly though if they want to take down one of Atlanta FaZe or Toronto Ultra, as we are going to look at here in the final series of the day. LAG fall out of the tournament in 10th place at the end, again at $0 earnings, as Grode likes to put on these graphics, but every other team that falls out of the tournament will at least make some money from the Stage 3 Major. Let's talk about this incredible final series of the day. Toronto Ultra versus Atlanta FaZe. I think this may well be the series of the year so far. There was so much going on in this series. Every map was insane. The level of performance from these 2 squads right now is ridiculous. Honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to be difficult, let's just put it that way, for other teams to match the levels these guys are bringing to the table. The first few maps I thought in theory favoured the guys on Atlanta FaZe, and it kind of does go that way. It's kind of ridiculous, right? All the way at the end of this game 1, CleanX was an absolute monster in the game 1 Garrison hardpoint. Like, is absolutely dropping 5 pieces left, right, and centre. Gets his streaks, and I can't remember how long ago it was, but CleanX also messed up his streaks against some other team like a few weeks ago now. Maybe it was in Stage 2, like towards the latter half of Stage 2 or something like that. And here again, he does it once again. If you guys don't know the clip where Attach gets a 1v3 running through his own artillery against Optic Gaming at Stage 1 playoffs way back in World War II now when he was on FaZe Clan team, then this is kind of what me and Crone are getting at right here with CleanX thought he was Attach trying to run through his own artillery, gets absolutely bodied by his own artillery, as you can see right here. He calls it in, kills himself with it, and then the FaZe guys managed to hold on to the rest of the game. So that may well haunt the Toronto Ultra guys for quite some time. I mean, he runs into his own artillery, not the idealist use of streaks, if that is even a word. And game 2 as well goes the way of Atlanta FaZe. This is a checkmate search and destroy where it just seems you cannot beat Atlanta FaZe on this map right now. aBeZy goes 12-4. This guy's out of control, gets a 1 versus 2 ace right here at the end. I mean, well, this guy just simply cannot be stopped. And the rest of this game was just ridiculous. The gunfights the guys on FaZe were winning, it was just like, how do you even beat these guys right now? And 7 straight search and destroy maps for Atlanta FaZe. They move up 2-0 here in the series, but it was not over there. This control was incredible. This was some of the highest quality stuff I think we've really seen all year. I mean, Toronto was so patient on their offense towards the end, but FaZe got streaks. They got a number of set of streaks, but what a TacticalRab Academy does with another bag right here. FaZe using streaks in round 5 of that control. Of course, they weren't hitting because the Toronto guys were running inside, but Ultra did such a great job of forcing out those streak usages, and then, well, they can get to the hard point or get to the control point, win the gunfights they needed to, and clutch them in a crazy round 5 of that control to take the series the distance. Then we go on to a raid hard point, where this has been a really good one for Toronto Ultra. So the back end of this series very much favoured Ultra, I think, in terms of the maps they were bringing here. And, well, going to a game 5 was just a fantastic result. This was so good. Honestly, I mean, this 3-piece that Cammy gets, and I'm pretty sure the fact he lays down right here means that he's not blocking the line of sight to the spawns in the back. So all the FaZe guys spawn right behind him. I'm pretty sure if he just stands up, and I don't even think he has to be looking to his right, but if he just stands up, probably they don't spawn there. But the fact that he lays down here does mean that they do spawn there, get some crazy spawn, but sometimes this type of stuff happens, but it doesn't cost Toronto Ultra in the end. They close out the game in remarkable fashion, as Gunless says. If I'm Cammy, I'm telling David, that being David Vonderhaar, to meet me in the ring after that spawn did indeed occur. And honestly, as I said right here, this was, well, one of the highest quality COD series I think we've seen so far this year. Maybe the highest quality Call of Duty that we have seen. I mean, honestly, remarkable scenes. And then FaZe go into the game 5, not having been reverse swept this year, also on a 7-game winning streak in Search and Destroy. But Ultra, with Insight, were 6-0 on the raid Search and Destroy since they added him. So this was going to be an absolute banger. There was so many great moments in this one, but it was really with Simp turning up. He hasn't had the greatest couple of series so far this major for them, but I mean, right here in this game 5, just absolutely takes over. There was a crazy ace that he had also, and they get the job done, winning 5 straight rounds to take down Ultra in this game 5. So such high quality stuff. FaZe got over the line, and honestly, if there's any team you do not want to be facing right now in the losers bracket, it's got to be Toronto Ultra. They put up an incredible level of performance today, and as FaZe say right here, Jesus Christ, you're getting the Supermax 2-buck Thug Lord. Since they added him to their team, their Search and Destroy has been absolutely impeccable. So that is certainly a scary sign for the other teams. They move on into the winners bracket, as Ban says, you know, through last map pretty bad. And well, as Darcy says, if we save our win streak, GG's Toronto, because of course, well, I'm pretty sure Toronto were on an 8-win streak or something like that. So maybe even a 9-win streak. So they were hoping to get that shut down, or at least FaZe were hoping to get that shut down so they can retain the longest winning streak so far here in the CDL. This is the bracket as it stands right now. Of course, we'll talk about Subliners Mutineers tomorrow. But yeah, the losers bracket is absolutely stacked at the moment. Empire versus Optic, and Ultra sit here awaiting the winner of Thieves versus the Royal Ravens. So try to take your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like you enjoyed this content, other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.